when a girl spent the night with her landlord, and then something went wrong, a real infidelity story. Have you ever thought a harmless decision, one night, one yes, could shatter everything you thought you understood about love, loyalty, and yourself? I didn't go looking for trouble. I just needed a place to stay. A roof over my head while the pieces of my life slowly found new corners to settle in. And he, my landlord, was kind. Kind in that quiet, watchful way older men can be. But the night I stayed over, something shifted. Something inside me. Something between us. And when it all went wrong, I realized too late. Comfort can be a dangerous drug. My name is Hira. I was 26 when everything started unraveling. I just left my fiancé of 5 years. Left the apartment we shared, the life we were building. He cheated. Simple as that. Or maybe not so simple, but betrayal rarely is. I moved into a tiny studio above a flower shop in Lahore, run by a quiet man named Mr. Saad. Everyone just called him Sir. He was in his early 40s, always wore crisp white shirts, and spoke in calm, measured tones. He wasn't friendly, not really. But he was respectful. And in a time when I felt discarded and disposable, that meant everything. The studio was cheap. Too cheap for how decent it was. But I didn't question it. I didn't have the energy to question anything. I paid rent in cash once a month in the office below. We didn't talk much, except when I passed him on the stairs or dropped by with a question about the heating. He'd always offer chai. I always said no. Until one rainy Thursday. My electricity went out that night. Fuse issue, he said. It would take till morning. Come downstairs if it gets too cold, he offered, eyes lingering on mine just a moment too long. I did. The living room smelled of books and jasmine incense. He handed me a blanket and a cup of warm tea. I can stay on the couch, I offered. He smiled faintly. You can take the bed if you want. I won't sleep much tonight anyway. I didn't intend to stay. I didn't intend for anything to happen. But loneliness makes you hungry in places you don't even know exist. And sometimes you say yes to warmth, even if it comes from the wrong fire. The morning after wasn't awkward. That should have been the first sign something was off. We didn't talk about it. He made breakfast, eggs, flatbread, black tea. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't crossed a line I swore I never would. Do you regret it? I asked when I was halfway through the eggs. He looked at me without flinching. No. Should I? I didn't answer. But deep down a part of me whispered, yes, you should. And so should I. The days blurred. We kept it quiet. Quiet was easy. There was no label, no promises. Just glances. Just touches in the stairwell. Just nights that ended in breaths tangled together. But that's not sustainable, is it? Secrets don't stay buried forever. Especially not when you start confusing survival with intimacy. The first crack came when my ex, Danish, showed up outside the building one night. He'd found out where I lived. Claimed he wanted closure. I miss you, he said. I made a mistake. Saad stood in the background, silent. Watching. Not interfering. That night after Danish left I said, you don't have to act like you care, you know. He frowned. Is that what you think? That I don't care? I stayed quiet. And then something shifted. He didn't call me downstairs anymore. Didn't look at me the same way when we passed in the hall. When I knocked on his door 2 nights later, a woman answered. She looked maybe 30. Pretty. Sharp eyes. Red lipstick. And behind her I could hear his laugh, low, familiar. A smirk. Oh. You must be the tenant. I didn't say a word. Just turned around and walked away. For the first time in weeks, my bed felt cold. Not because he wasn't there, but because the illusion was gone. I wasn't special. I was convenient. And yet the worst was still to come. Came 2 weeks later. When I realized I was late. Not just a little. 5 days. Then 7. Tess showed 2 lines. I stared at them like they'd been drawn in blood. That night I wrote a message to Saad. We need to talk. He never replied. 3 days passed before he showed up at my door. He didn't knock. Just opened it with his master key and stepped inside. "You're pregnant," he said. No greeting. Just the question. I nodded, eyes locked on the floor. "I thought you should know." He didn't move. Didn't sit. Just stared at me. "I don't want children," he said. I thought that was obvious. It wasn't. "I don't love you, Hira." The words hit harder than the test result. Harder than Danish's betrayal. Because this one I let happen. This one I chose. "I know," I whispered. "I never asked you to." He finally sat, rubbing his temples. "You need to get rid of it. Pay will help. But this can't be a thing." I laughed, but it came out cracked and bitter. I wasn't planning to turn this into a fairy tale, Sod. But I also wasn't planning to feel like garbage. He looked at me, then really looked at me. And something flickered in his eyes. Pity? Regret? I couldn't tell. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said. "But you did." Silence stretched between us like a wall of glass. Transparent. Breakable. Already broken. That night I didn't cry. I lay in bed, hand resting lightly on my stomach, and thought about every decision that led me here. The affair. The comfort. The warmth. The mistake. But was it a mistake? Or was it a brutal kind of clarity? 2 days later I left the apartment. Packed what little I owned and moved in with a cousin across town. Blocked Sod's number. Booked a consultation at a clinic but never showed up. Because despite everything I wanted to keep the child. Not because of him. But because of me. Because I needed to believe something good could still grow from all this ruin. It's been 4 months now. The nausea's mostly gone. The anxiety not so much. But there's a strange peace that's starting to bloom inside me. Like a quiet voice whispering, "You survived. You're still here." Sod never reached out again. I heard he's still running the flower shop. Still charming lonely women with jasmine incense and warm tea. Sometimes I wonder if he ever thinks of me. Of what could have been if things had gone differently. But then I remind myself, I wasn't looking for love when I met him. I was looking for a place to land. And sometimes landing hurts more than the fall. As for Danish, he messaged last week. Said he saw my cousin post a baby bump photo on Instagram and asked if it was his. I didn't respond. He doesn't deserve closure. This child, this tiny heartbeat growing inside me, is mine. Not his. Not Sod's. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not ashamed of the mess. Because it taught me where my boundaries are. What I will and won't allow. I still pass by that street sometimes. I still catch the scent of jasmine in the air. But I don't look up at the window of the studio. I just keep walking. Because now my story's not about betrayal. It's about becoming. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most honest kind of love there is.